on screen, it's a very weaponized politics. It's about identifying an enemy. If we get X group out, then we will no longer have problems.
What enemy have I identified?
Okay, so talk to me about immigration. So when I have seen you talking about clips where we're hearing the word Ethiopians and racist, and we're tarring
you heard me say the word Ethiopian and racist?
Yes.
When did you hear me say that?
Rapists.
Rapists, yes, because there have been illegal migrants have been allowed into this country that have gone on to sexually assault girls.
Correct.
Do you condone that?
Why are we tarring the entire Ethiopians? We've just spent the top half of this...
Because it was... Hang on, I'm sorry. But when you allow people, unvetted men, into our country who you have no idea who their history is, and you put them in a town and village, and you subject them to young girls who are walking in the streets, and they end up raping a girl or sexually assaulting a girl, of course I'm going to call it out.
Listen, why is it not enough?
Would you not think it's right to call it out?
Why is it not enough to say, let's take measures on immigration? The minute you start
We are taking measures on immigration.
The minute you start referencing specific groups, the association in people's minds is, if I encounter an Ethiopian, this is now the person we're talking about. We just spent the whole top of the show talking about Prince Andrew, and yet I've never heard you say abolish the royals. You can treat it as a case study. So what I'm saying to you is...
The royals are part of Britain. We are importing rapists and terrorists into this country through our open borders. You cannot deny that. How many rapes is too much for you to say it's not okay? How many rapes would you accept?
This is my question to you, right? We are talking about instances. We know that there are rapists in Britain, right? Already here. You've described them as homegrown rapists before. That is very different. The homegrown rapist, that's almost a juxtaposition. It doesn't make any sense as a term of condemnation, right?
Yes, of course it does. Any rapist is condemned by me. I was a criminal prosecutor and I'm a mother of daughters and I'm a woman myself. Of course they are. Don't put words into my mouth. But we have homegrown rapists. That does not excuse us importing more and putting them in towns and villages. I'm sorry, I'm not going to back down from that position, and I think you'll find most of the British public completely disagree with you. And if that certain rapist that I mentioned happened to be Ethiopian, then yes, I'm not going to shy away from saying that he was Ethiopian, because that's what happened with the Pakistani rape gangs. People didn't want to say where they were from, and it was they were proliferated.
Yes, but you're applying it to a wide group.
When no, I'm applying it to illegal migrants who are allowed into this country. That is not a wide group, that is a specific group.
But it's not all illegal migrants.
How do you know? Are they vetted? How do you know?
Because we know that we're talking about instances.
How do you know that every man crossing on that boat is not a rapist or a terrorist? We know that one was a convicted terrorist.
Just to be clear, you don't know.
No, I don't know, but I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they have thrown their passports, they've entered this country illegally, so I will treat them as criminals, yes.
Reform Councillor Layla Cunningham has been appearing on television a lot lately. She recently took on Jeremy Corbyn, which I covered in yesterday's video, and she is clearly one of Reform's rising figures. I have little doubt she could become an MP by the next election. British politics. Like this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to British. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free. Here she is again defending Reform against the familiar accusations of racism, extremism, and the dehumanization of migrants. But in this debate, her opponent did not seem evenly matched. Honestly, it felt very one-sided. He criticized her for referring to a recently deported convicted illegal immigrant as Ethiopian. The man had entered the country illegally from Ethiopia and was later convicted of attacking a young girl. The case became a major example for those who argue there are serious problems with illegal immigration in this country. The fact that he has now returned to Ethiopia raises further questions about his original claim. And for many people, the bigger issue is how he was allowed into the country in the first place. Yet her opponent appeared less focused on that and more concerned about her using the word Ethiopian, arguing that it could risk dehumanizing Ethiopians more broadly. Cunningham responded by saying that if someone is from Ethiopia, it is factual to describe them as Ethiopian. She argued that her primary concern is not the wording, but the safety risks created when dangerous individuals are allowed into the country. Her opponent replied that not all men pose a threat. She then delivered a strong response, emphasizing that the safety of British citizens must always come first. She spoke with confidence and did not hesitate to defend her position. She stood firmly by her arguments and refused to back down. As she pointed out, her stance is not extreme, but based on prioritizing public safety. What stood out most was that, in her view, some commentators focus heavily on defending migrants, while rarely mentioning the victims in these cases. That contrast shaped the tone of the exchange. Take a listen. It definitely becomes heated. Reform Councillor Layla Cunningham has been appearing on television a lot lately. She recently took on Jeremy Corbyn, which I covered in yesterday's video, and she is clearly one of Reform's rising figures. I have little doubt she could become an MP by the next election. British politics. Like this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Doc British. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free. Here she is again defending Reform against the familiar accusations of racism, extremism, and the dehumanization of migrants. But in this debate, her opponent did not seem evenly matched. Honestly, it felt very one-sided. He criticized her for referring to a recently deported convicted illegal immigrant as Ethiopian. The man had entered the country